Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the March 2025 edition of Poetry Superhighway Live. Great to have you with us. My name is Rick Lupert. I'm realizing I just titled the event on YouTube the March 202 PSH Live Open Reading. So I'm off a couple thousand years for that listing. I'll have to edit that later. Maybe we'll get some people from the distant past joining in as a result. I'm not sure. But either way, it's going to be fine. I'm glad to have you all here with me, participating in this afternoon's reading. We're doing it an hour later than we usually do. Not because of daylight savings time. That just adds insult to injury, honestly. Because I had a scheduling conflict and I wasn't able to start at the typical 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. But considering that today is the one day of year that no one really knows what time it is, and the animals are all furious that they're not being fed when they think that they should, let's just see what happens and hope that we survive this afternoon of poetry. It's going to be a lovely open reading. Many people have signed up to read. If you're watching on YouTube or on Facebook, if you would like to participate in this afternoon's reading, all you have to do is, you have to actually join the Zoom in order to do that. You can't participate unless you're here, so make sure you click on the Zoom and join it, and then let me know in the chat that you would like to participate in the reading, and I'll be happy to add you to the list. As we usually do, we're going to ask folks to read a single poem, and then I'll give you the opportunity to talk about what's going on in your poetry world, if anything in particular, news, a new chapbook, a reading series that you're hosting, a contest that you want to let us know about. You'll have the chance to let us know what's happening in your world, and we'd love to hear about it. I can tell you in Poetry Superhighway news, we had a pretty successful great poetry exchange that just completed sort of on March 1st. We collected participants throughout February. 100 different poets signed up and many of whom have sent their books that they signed up to participate with off to other people in other parts of the world. And so it's happening now as we speak. Poetry books are flying probably over your heads at this very moment, on airplanes, in postal trucks, on Amazon delivery trucks, and it's a cool thing, a free thing to participate in. Send a book, get a book. So that's happening right now. And we are now collecting poetry writing prompts ahead of National Poetry Month, April, where we will again be posting a poetry writing prompt every single day in the month of April to give people the opportunity, if they'd like, to have an idea of something to write. Sometimes people, you probably already know this, but people choose to write a poem a day during National Poetry Month, and many people publish prompts or writing ideas, and so we've been doing that for a bunch of years. And we collect those writing prompts from you, from our Poetry Superhighway constituents, if you'll forgive the politically charged term there. And if you have an idea for a writing prompt, you can go to our website, poetrysuperhighway.com/PSH, and there's a big banner that you can click on to get right to the form with some more guidelines on what specifically we're looking for, and you can submit it, and we may pick your prompt to be one of the 30 that is published during National Poetry Month in April. And then the cool thing is that we also publish those prompts to our Facebook page, and encourage anyone who actually writes a poem in response to one of them to post their poem as a response, as a comment to the post on Facebook. So lots of interaction, lots of ways to find ideas of things to write, and if you submit a prompt, it's kind of gratifying to see what people might write as a result of the idea that you've come up with. But do check out the guidelines to see what we're looking for. And I believe that's all the things that I need to tell you before we get on with our open reading. This is who I have on the list. If anyone else would like to be added, please let me know. In this order that people signed up: Ed Gonzales, Lorraine Caputo, Jennifer Phillips, Emilio Puerta, Charlie Brice, Kathryn Paulsen, Judy Brice, Randy Fowler, Ron Bremner, Christopher Bogart, and Gayle. If anyone else would like to be added, just again send me a message in the chat. Again, if you're watching on YouTube or if you clicked the link from Facebook, just you have to join the Zoom, and you can let me know there that you'd like to join or by reading a poem. Make sure if you do join the reading that you're using your full real name as your Zoom identity, so we can confirm who you are in case I don't recognize it, to avoid the nefarious Zoom bombers out there who only exist to do naughty things in the middle of innocent Zoom readings like ours. I believe that's everything I need to tell you, so we will say that Lorraine Caputo, you are on deck, and give a warm welcome to our first reader, Ed Gonzales. Hello, Ed.
Well, hello, everybody. Thank you for this opportunity. The first, actually, my one piece is actually a piece I wrote in regards to my dad, and it's entitled Jaime. He gave me my first pocket knife. He showed me fields of nopal and tuna, which we assembled salsa. From there, we hung a left, which led to a long-forgotten vineyard. After acquiring our booty, we transported it home to commence to squeezing to juice and the jarring to jelly. He was fundamental to my learning and prepared many foods like tamale and pozole and a mean French toast. Besides the fact that my mom instructed me to keep him at arm's length, saying that he was uncle and not dad, a major deception, but he was truly my dad. That was my piece. Thank you very much.
It's a good one, Ed. What a sweet way to begin our reading today. What's happening with you in poetry these days?
Well, I've gotten some help with a few members of the El Paso poetry workshop group, a local group here, and they're helping me assemble my book. I want to put together a book of poetry. And other than that, just really online, great stuff. Cultivating Voices live poetry for one. Here in El Paso, there's the Barbed Wire online poetry reading. That's every Monday at 8 o'clock Mountain Time, and we get together and we share our poetry, and I get some feedback too, which is great. And I want to thank everybody. Thank you, Rick, and thank you, everybody, for allowing me to speak. And I hope you enjoyed.
Thank you very much, Ed. Thanks for being brave enough to open up the reading. Really nice poem to start us off with, and thanks for being here. May the force be with you, Ed Gonzales, Jedi. On a round of applause for Ed Gonzales. Thank you, Ed. On deck is Jennifer Phillips. Please welcome now Lorraine Caputo. Hello, Lorraine. Lorraine,
there you are. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Where's my poem now? This is called Towards the Rio Orinoco. In the middle of nowhere on the plains, early afternoon, strong sun, the heavy breeze scuttles clouds white and gray across the sky, leaves across the red ochre earth. Here I sit under the shade of mango trees full of bird song, watching chickens pecking at sweet fallen fruit, iguanas and lizards scurrying, prairie canaries and midnight teal grackles bathing in a pool of water, awaiting a ride to take me across these llanos towards the Rio Orinoco. Bleach blue skies, puffs of clouds, heat of mid-afternoon, flat land, pale dry soil, crowned harpy, eagle hunt, arrow road, cracked and pocked, bloodied by dead buzzards, scrub brush trees, smoldering pockets of wildfire, solo homes, wind strengthens, white herons near scant ponds, distant rain falling on southern hill horizon, lakes more full, young chamos playing in the red mud, and soon that mythical river comes into view. Silted broader than the big muddy, the land on either side flat, a golden dry season beach and the northern bank, small rises, breasts of verdant mother. Late afternoon sun weakened by scattered rain silvers the river. A yellow barge full of cars and trucks against the hull plows these earthen waters. Rippling waves lap against the hull. People stand along the railings, watching the river glow, talking, drinking. From a cooler on his bicycle cart, a man sells beer and Maltine. The sun emerges from the clouds, a shifting shaft of golden light glinting off the Rio as we near the other shore and the village of Caicara.
What a lush poem full of all kinds of experiential imagery in there. Thank you so much, Lorraine.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. That is from a new chapbook that will be published by Dancing Girl Press. Hopefully in May it'll be released. It's called Orinoco Plains, and it's a collection of poems from my journeys in Venezuela.
Cool. Well, I'm a big fan of travel poetry myself, so that has quite a lot of appeal to me. Anything else going on in your poetry world you want to tell us about?
No.
Very good.
Writing and putting out an ebook chapbook on my blog every month.
Oh, that's quite a lot of work to do every single month. Well done on that. Well, Lorraine, thanks so much for being here and sharing such a great piece with us.
Thank you.
All right, round of applause for Lorraine Caputo. On deck is Emilio Puerta. Please welcome now Jennifer Phillips. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, Rick. Hi, everybody. Nice to see you. The poem I have for you is an oldish one. It's called The Mackerel Boat. If you had stood at this same dockside 60 years back, you might have spotted Elmer Davis, who didn't care much for children, stowing the rods, the gaff, the buckets, chomped on his cold pipe, flannels cuffed to the elbows, taking a gamble on the wee watchful girl because she never chatted or fidgeted or, like himself, said much at all. Sat quiet as an old pine between the granites, watching the wake unspool. Look for the patch of bubbles, the minute motion from below amid the huge motion, the tiny blown foam different from all the blown salivation of the ocean, where mackerel and pollock school following the pogies. And she did. Showed her how to bait and throw the line out athwart with only a word or two and a flick. Her wrist picked it up quickly as the slivers of silver rose and bit. He noticed how she watched the mottled, muscly heave, twitching, heaped in the pails, how it hooked his innards that she sat, hunched and uncomplaining in the cold and wet, watching with a shocked wonder the light go out of the bright scales. Thanks.
Jennifer, thank you very much. Nice piece. Appreciated hearing it. What's happening with you in poetry these days?
Um, I am now signed up for the poetry readings that from time to time the Grolier Bookshop in Cambridge, Massachusetts holds. If anybody doesn't know about it, the Grolier is an all poetry bookshop. What a wonderful thing that is. A venerable one, been around probably close to a century, and they have wonderful poetry readings that are both live and online. So if you haven't found it, just Google Grolier, Grolier, bookshop, and sign up. Um, and my chapbook is slowly grinding through the long process with the publisher finishing line. It's called Sailing to the Edges, and it's some poems and a long narrative poem about the voyage of Roald Amundsen on a Belgian expedition to the Antarctic, in which they all got iced in for close to 2 years. So on a trip to Norway, everybody talks about Amundsen, and his portrait is all over the place, everywhere you go, and his stuffed sled dogs and goodness knows what kind of iconic explorer. So I got in the mood while I was on shipboard and wrote this long poem about him. So soon, probably sometime between now and the fall, anyway, it will appear in a chapbook.
That's great. Well, a lot of interesting backstory to that as well. Thanks for sharing it with us, and thank you so much for being here. What a cool, that bookstore, a poetry only, like physical in-person bookstore?
A real in-person ancient bookstore close to Harvard Square in Cambridge.
Wow,
Yep.
that's amazing. Good to know such things exist and hopefully are thriving as well. Well, Jennifer, thank you so much for being here, and have a great rest of your day, and thanks for your poem.
Thank you.
Round of applause for Jennifer M. Phillips. On deck is Charlie Brice. Please welcome now E. Puerta. Hello, E.
Hello. Okay. This one's a little late, but it only because we come a day after it. How sweet a sound is feminine. How softly female skips along the ripples of the tongue and through the supple lips. A simple sigh of feminine, or female, woman, girl, exhales a warm and mystic charm that spurs the soul to whirl. Whilst masculine is coarse as stone and decked in monochrome, he squarely stands and keeps his march set to a metronome. Armed simply with a copper heart, he tingles skin and bone, and needs the iron feminine to tint and tame his tone. Yet every face of feminine was made from molds of man, as Eve from Adam was conceived to spark God's holy plan. Thus feminine is masculine, twice firm, twice fit, twice whole, for underneath the sweet facade lies heart, lies spleen, lies soul.
Nice dramatic reading of that piece for us, Emilio. I enjoyed it. How's everything with you in poetry?
You know, the same as every time I come here. There's not really much going on. Still trying to break out into the world of it, and still waiting my turn.
Well, we're glad to give you your turn in this space at least. You've broken out into a small part of the world anyway through this, so you've got that going on. So keep it up, and I'm sure soon enough the world will know your name.
Still waiting.
All right, Emilio, thank you so much for being here. Round of applause
thank
for
you.
Emilio Puerta. On deck, Kathryn Paulsen. Please welcome now Charlie Brice. Hello, Charlie.
Hi, Rick. Thanks so much for doing this. Really nice. My poem is called Let It Be. Avitus Zildjian made his first symbol in 1618, but I discovered Zildjian symbols because Ringo chose them to adorn his Ludwig Oyster Pearl drum set with its Speed King bass drum pedal. I bought that exact drum kit in 1966, paid for it from proceeds earned while percussing with our little garage band, the Rogues. I can still smell the chrome polish when I open the boxes housing those surfaces that let me survive my mother's rages and my many broken hearts. Now those drums sit in my music room across from my study in the third floor attic. Their Hey Jude days embedded in my yesterdays. Those kick beats live in my body, twist and shout their way through my arms, legs, and heart, but not on the drum set anymore. Too many friends are tormented with tinnitus, something that terrifies me because of all the music that treacherous tone would destroy. A philodendron and Boston fern bookend my drum kit now. Dead and curling leaves reside on the snare drum and on the floor in front of the bass drum. The picture is one of a fall, the fall of a life. Last night, Frankie Curran, long dead, visited in a dream. I asked him if he remembered the cadences we played for the St. Mary's High School marching band. No, he said, and looked startled. You taught them to me, Frank, I said, and proceeded to play the first one I'd learned on the stretched flesh of my sadness. The fall of life wilts everything. I live now in a marcescence, waiting for the wind to unfurl the curl, and yet the beat endures, it goes on.
Awesome poem. Lots of passage of time in there, which always makes everyone feel nostalgic and longing for times that were, and hope that the end times are at least a couple of weeks away. Charlie, great job. What's happening with you in poetry?
Well, it just so happens that my new book is out, Tragedy in the Arugula Isle. So, I mean, how could you resist this? I mean, don't you want to know what happened in the Arugula Isle?
I do. I really do, especially since I have a salad with a base of arugula every day. If something's going down there, am I eating blood salad? I don't know what's happening. I'm going to need to find out.
Well, I actually have a trigger warning on this book to stay away from leafy vegetables. I suppose I should have said that first, but anyway, I'm selling them. I'll put it in the chat. I'm giving them away for $14 with $4 shipping. So, I mean, I'm almost a registered charity now because of that.
You should be homeless after the first few sales, I think.
Thank you, Rick.
If all goes well. Great, congrats on that. You and my son against leafy vegetables. You should start a movement, I think, because there's going to be no other movements without leafy vegetables. I'll tell you that much. Round of applause for Charlie Brice. Sorry, I can't help myself sometimes. The things just come out, if you will. Judy Brice, you are on deck. Please welcome now Kathryn Paulsen. Hi, Kathryn.
Hi. So I have written very few sonnets in my life and very little formal poetry, but this is maybe the second one. And I apologize if I've read it here before. I don't think so, but I have read it somewhere recently that I neglected to write down. Anyway, First Muse. It was one of those fleshy summer affairs, the poet said. You know the kind. Not sure we do, the front row stared. Virginal rabbity bookworms. He read a line. It wasn't very fleshy, hard to find the girl under the words. But oh, the words. Aboutness hardly mattered. She felt a rush of wings, new music in her mind. He looked a little wasted for his age. What, 20? Sweaty, unkempt, as if just risen from bed, but not from one of ours, Dean forbid. the next he read wasn't quite so great. He sighed and stumbled on. She put pen to page.
I don't think you've read that before, because I would have remembered the phrase fleshy summer affairs.
Yeah, well, I did. And this is, although very much fictionalized, I don't think the girls in the front row were rabbity. But this was inspired by, decades ago, a real poetry reading at Mount Holyoke College, at which the readers, one of whom was from Mount Holyoke College, but not yours truly, read. They were finalists for this Glasgow Prize. And this was a guy. And I wondered, is this a phrase that he used whenever he read this poem? Or I mean, I shouldn't say, yeah, right, because he said it. And I was thinking, I can't believe he said it. And yet, whatever the poem was, I think was okay. I think I may have exaggerated the greatness of the poem considerably. And I think the idea that he was the narrator's first muse was indeed fictional. But boy, it's like, I wonder if other people remember it. Anyway, that poem is from my new chapbook, The Poetry Habit. And it's from Claire Songbird's Press Publishing. And I put the link in the chat. And it's poetry, obviously about poetry, the writing of it, the reading of it, the attempts at marketing of it, and it includes another poem that I might have read here. That's probably this one of the two silliest things I've ever written, called "The Pace You've Been Waiting For." But so it's in general it's probably the most lighthearted collection I've ever put together.
Well,
So
I only remember things that include the phrase fleshy summer affairs. That's pretty much what happens with me. But sounds like fun either way. Kathryn, good memory there. Thank you so much for sharing that. Congrats on the book. People should click on it and check it out.
$7.99 plus shipping.
Oh my gosh, you're putting Charlie out of business.
Well, but it's fewer poems. It's only a chapbook. It's like 28 pages or so.
We should have a standard rate, like per poem, like, for books. That way it's just fair for everyone. My books would be $6,000 as a result, because I put a million 2-line poems, one on each page. So it wouldn't be fair. And I would already be homeless just coming up with the idea, I think. So there you go. Kathryn, thank you so much for being here. And come again. Round of applause for Kathryn Paulsen. On deck, Randy Fowler. Please welcome Judy Brice. Hi, Judy. Judy, are you there? You got to unmute.
Unmute. Okay, I was saying thank you to Rick. This is wonderful that you do this. And thank you to all the other readers. I've loved every single one of your poems. And I'm really saying that honestly, including my husband, but including all the other readers as well. This is just, your poems are exquisite, each one of you. And I'm not good at listening and writing messages, so I just haven't done it. So, but I really enjoy each and every one of your poems. So this is from my new book, which I will talk about in a minute, but here it is. It is entitled, What is the Joy? What is the joy of yesterday, the soul of tomorrow's sorrows, when the secret to beauty lies in descent of umber leaves as they quaver their way past saffron shafts of pearl, that soft and midday light? What the wonder of trees along crunch and creak of trail, even the sun, its glimmer of shine through deepened forest brush, when it branches wide, branches thick in a lowland swale beneath one resolute, steady foot. And how the mystery Where the notes, the silent music of song, as leaves drift down through a canyon like snow. Drift beside crags to a river that courses and snakes deep, then flows towards a place beyond, a place we'll never know.
Wonderful, nice, nice natural piece there, or piece with some nice natural images in it. So tell us what you wanted to tell us about your new book.
So this is the proof copy. It's entitled A Whisper. Well,
Oh, sorry, I don't know what. Don't worry about that.
okay,
Yep.
well, maybe they should record it some more. This is the proof copy of A Whisper Branch, and it should be out probably in a couple weeks. And I've just gone through the proof copy, and the only holdup is that my email does not communicate with my publisher. That's a little problem. So we're in the finalization of it, and he can't get my emails. But anyway, it is my book, and I'm delighted. It's about my fourth book or fifth book, and look for it. And I will be reading from it again the next time I have a chance to read on your show, Rick. And that's what I'm excited about.
That's some nice foreshadowing there, Judy. Congrats on the new book. Make sure if you can or have someone help you put a link in the chat so people can check it out. Maybe you live with someone who knows how to paste links into a chat while you're paying attention. I don't know.
I don't know who that would be.
I also want to point out, I just noticed that initially when you weren't muted, Charlie, who is on another floor, as you may know, he's in the house now, so be wary. This is how he communicated that we couldn't hear you. He was just going, just like that, like this is in case you wanted to know what this meant. This means, honey, you're muted. Okay, just I don't know if you guys covered that yet, but
it's been 50 years and I still didn't get that signal, but now I'll pay attention.
Have you guys considered therapy? That's think about it. You don't have to answer publicly on that. Judy, enjoyed your poem. Congrats on the new book, and thank you so much for being here.
And thank you very much again, Rick. And thank you for the other readers. You've been great. I've loved every single one of your poems.
There you go. Thank you, Judy. Some nice encouraging words there for everyone. On deck, Ron Bremner. Please welcome now Randy Fowler. Hello, Randy.
Hi. So I'll introduce talk about myself first because I'll have a hard time talking after reading the poem. Hopefully my chapbook will be out this summer. It's called Dancing with Despair and Delight. So there's a lot of humor in it, like Confessions of a Narcissist or comparing my wife to a fine guitar. But there's also the despair side, which I struggle with anxiety. So there's poems like that and the one I'm going to read. So the one I'm going to read for you, a lot of people write poems, as I've been on the poetry open mic for only 11 months now, but a lot of people read about people who have done them wrong. And this is a poem where I actually am the bad guy. So this is called Still Waters. Waves of condemnation are crashing over me from an ocean of scorn as far as my eyes can see. Slung a tsunami of rage that overwhelmed my daughter, was banished to a cove, a father underwater. Try to apologize, another swell descends. I'm drowning in disgrace. The sea demands amends. Climb a rock of regret, yet the tide's too high. Scale further to remorse, feel breakers crashing by. Ascend to repentance, trying to merit trust. Let charity be her choice. I pray I've done enough. In time, the tide recedes. My daughter sends a raft. I'm floating on forgiveness, still waters of grace at last.
Well, that was a lovely piece, Randy. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And did you basically make a statement that you don't want to talk at this point? How are you doing? Are you able to?
No, I'm doing, yeah, okay. Last time I completely lost it. So, yeah.
Well, cool. Is there anything else you want to tell us about what's going on in your world? You got through that really nicely.
Thank you. No, just learning a lot about myself. I didn't think I'd ever be that type of person, and just one moment happened, and so just a lesson for us, all that a lot of times. I wrote another poem about like a coffee cup, and as an analogy to anger and not allowing your coffee cup to be three-quarters full all the time, because eventually someday it's gonna spill over. So
Yeah. Three-quarters is the max for me as well. But I think that's just because that's how much the AeroPress can accommodate in terms of water relative to my mug. So it's, but it's a good amount. It's a good amount for me.
yeah.
Randy, nice to hear your work. Thank you so much for being here and sharing that piece with us.
Yeah, thank you, Rick, and thanks for putting these on.
No problem. My pleasure. Round of applause for Randy Fowler. Got a few more people. I've got Ron Bremner, Christopher Bogart, Gayle Bell, and me. If anyone else is here who would like to read, send me a message in the chat and I'll be happy to add you. If anyone is watching on YouTube or Facebook, feel free to join the Zoom. This is your last chance to do so if you would like to read, and let me know that you would like to read. And there you go. That's it. I see Marcus Young would like to read, so we will add you to the list, Marcus. Christopher Bogart, you are on deck. Please welcome now Ron Bremner. Hi, Ron.
Hi, Rick. Hi, everybody.
Ron, looks like you got muted again. Would you mind unmuting yourself? There you go.
Okay. This is a very serious poem about a situation where a fellow named Andrew Cuomo, who resigned as governor of New York, is now running for mayor of New York City. And a lot of people are alarmed about that. And so I came up with I can find it, yeah. I came up with something that was published in Sensations magazine. It's called Roman Catholic Diocese of Brooklyn versus Cuomo, 2020. A Supreme Court case, by the way. I am the Cuomo, thy God. Thou shalt not have strange gods before me. When I command that you churches restrict your attendance because of COVID-19, you must obey the Almighty me. Defy me, and I'll punish you, like when I rain death upon nursing home residents by forcing COVID patients upon them. I shall send my infected brother, CNN Chris Cuomo, to bar your doors. What's that, you say? Chris is confined to his cellar because of COVID? Ha! He sneaks out at night for beer and pizza, and a little skirt chasing. He's almost as debonair as me, the love gov. So, shut up your parishioners, you disobedient churches. Huh? What's that you say, Supreme Court? I, Cuomo, the love gov, can't interfere with the free exercise of religion? How dare you? Since when can judges tell politicians what they can or can't decree? Since 1776, you say? How strange. Well, once I become prez, I'll change all that. As soon as I finish as soon as I finish chasing this cute babe around my office. Thank you and have a pleasant night.
Great job, Ron. A poem that was as serious as it needed to be, Interesting times we live in, I'll say. Who comes around goes around. I'm not sure what to say at the end of that, but thank you for sharing that. Anything going on in your poetry world you want to tell us about?
Not much success lately, but I've entered a few contests. The Rattle Chapbook Prize, which I'm sure to lose, but the Allen Ginsberg Prize, I've been pretty lucky with. Gotten honorable mention a few times, so I'm really hopeful about the Ginsberg thing. And what else did I enter? Oh, the Wurgle Flop, the Poetry Prize for humorous poems, and I'm very hopeful about that. But who knows? Who cares?
Who cares is a perfect attitude in that sense. It's nice when something happens, but it certainly won't happen if you don't try. But it's not really a big deal if it doesn't happen with all these things out there. Wurgle is a fun contest that's been around for a long time. So cool. Good luck there, and thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks.
Round of applause for Ron Bremner. On deck is Gayle Bell. Please welcome now Christopher Bogart. Hi, Chris.
Hi, how is everybody doing? Thank you very much for running this, Rick. I have a poem to honor what is today the 60th anniversary of the Civil Rights March over the Edmund Pettus Bridge, called Bloody Sunday. And this poem is called, if I can get it so I can see it. Hold on. This poem is called Scapegoat. There's an epigraph. The goat shall bear on itself all the iniquities to a barren region, and the goat shall be set free in the wilderness. And that's from Leviticus 16, verse 22. The second part is scape. Contraction for escape. But what seems just contraction is really contradiction. If the animal we lay our iniquities upon, one that bears our deserved disgrace, is allowed to escape, set free, how can that be? Who then is the victim? The doer of the crime or the doer of the time? It seems we need to make up our mind. In every major religion all throughout the world, if you cause offense, you have cause to repent. It's confession, contrition, then acceptance, atonement. But if you've done nothing wrong, then you have nothing to confess. And if you've done nothing wrong, there's no need for contrition. If you've done nothing wrong, why worry about guilt? And if you've done nothing wrong, what's there to atone? If you accept guilt, then you should feel shame. And if you've done nothing wrong, then why feel you're to blame? Since you don't need to run from this guilt, from this shame, then why are you running? Is it race that's the game? If race is really that critical, why not teach it all the same? Is it possible that what you feel guilty about is that you're still rigging the game? Thank you.
Christopher, thank you. Some good things to think about in there. What's going on with you in poetry these days?
If I can share the screen, I'll show you.
Sure, one sec. Let me
Yeah, no problem.
Go for it.
As you know, I'm putting together an anthology of poets throughout the United States that have wanted to speak out against what's happening in this country since January 20th and the present administration. I called the book Silence is Consent because if we don't speak out, we're complicit.
Christopher, go on.
Who can compete against that? What I want to say is, yeah, Randy, you did. What I want to say is that, as I said, 5 people in the room are already in the book. And I'm going to put a message in the chat. If any of you who are not in the book are interested, there's still time. One last thing. I am not judging poetry on its merits. I'm only judging it on 3 standards. It cannot be poetry that advocates violence or racism. It has to be poetry that addresses the issue. I've gotten some poetry that is really nice, but it's about all kinds of stuff that has nothing to do with the issue. And last but not least, I'm doing this because primarily people want to speak out, and I'm giving them a platform to do so. So without further ado, I'm going to put. I'm trying to do this. I'm going to put the message in the chat, and this way everybody can, if you're interested, up to 5 poems, 4-sentence bio, and in the subject space of the email, please put silence is consent, so I won't end up in the spam folder. Thank you.
Christopher, thank you. It's a great project. Happy to be a part of it myself. I know you've been working on it for a long time, and I hope you see an end at a point where you're ready to put it out, and some work and some impact can be done as a result of it. So well done, and thank you so much for that.
Rick, I just want to tell you quickly, I would like to end submissions by the end of this month.
Oh, cool. So you already have something in mind. That's great. Well, cool. Well, that means by the next time we get together, you'll already be well into maybe having released it. I'm not sure. Our next reading is April 6th, so we'll see. But great. Christopher, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
All right, round of applause for Christopher Bogart, doing important work for us out there. A few people in the chat, Christopher, you should check out, mentioned that they're interested. So you folks should be directly in touch with Christopher. Send him a message so that way, or follow the instructions that he pasted in the chat, because I think he already gave his email there. I think just putting a message in the chat here is not the best way to do it, but he posted a whole paragraph there about what the submission guidelines are and where to send them. So please do that if you want to get in. All right, we got a couple more. Actually, sorry, we just have Gayle Bell and me left. So we'll say I am on deck, and please welcome now Gayle Bell. Hi, Gayle.
Hi. I may have read this, I'm not sure. And thank you again, Rick. You are always such a wonderful avenue for me to do my submissions to. This is called A Bookless Education. She sits at Jack in the Box with no less than 3 sweaters on, shrouded by a very used coat, socks, and shoes, and they've seen better roads. Wary at first until 2 days later, she eyed me with a little trust. We talked about the necessity of mamas and the loss you feel when they are gone. I'm 98 years old, she said. I stared at her wrinkleless face and decided to take her word for it. Her oldest son died at a domino game, cause of death, the crossroads at the intersection of a bullet. One brother was killed over some dope. We laughed about old men and young women, the curriculum of economics. For my finals, I pressed $5 in her hand. I was told what to give God and to recognize blessings.
Recognize blessings indeed. Thank you very much, Gayle. You're a blessing for reading that piece for us here. Anything going on in your poetry world you want to tell us about?
I'm going to eventually stop procrastinating and finish my damn novel I started 10 years ago on National Novel Writing Month. I'm almost at the first draft.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's quite a long time to be in the middle of still writing a novel from 10 years ago.
yes.
But heck, keeps you off the streets, I guess.
Yeah, exactly right. And Christopher, I'm going to get your information. And Rick, you are just a treasure.
Maybe a shallowly barrowed one, like a piece of tin that someone lost, you could exchange for a sandwich. But that's about it. But thank you, Gayle. It's awfully nice of you to say. Gayle, thank you so much for being here. A round of applause for Gayle Bell. All right. Well, I guess I'm going to close out the open reading with a poem. This is one from I've been reading throughout the year from my most recent book. It's Spritz O'Clock Somewhere, poems that I wrote in Italy and Paris the last 2 summers ago. And I'm working on my next book, which is called, what is it called? High Moose Alert, which is poems I wrote in Alaska last summer. And I figured that one's going to be out in a couple of months, so I'm going to need to skip ahead in my Italy book to the part where I wasn't in Italy anymore. So this is a poem I wrote in Paris at the end of that trip. It's called Goodnight, Paris. It is a dream to be in Paris, this perfect, imperfect city. Other cities are beautiful, but Paris is beautiful. Since I first learned you could cross the ocean, I dreamed of Paris. I dream of Paris while my feet are touching Paris. This is a waking dream. These streets, this French. I dream of tomorrow's baguette. I dream of the water lilies, the Latin Quarter, the ancient, brand new Notre Dame. I dreamed of Paris years ago, and then fewer years ago, and today. My heart, this coffee, these lights, spinning on top of the tower to let everyone know, wake up or never wake up. It's fine. You are here, or you should come here. Paris has always been the dream. There you go. It really wasn't fair to Italy that we went to Paris at the end of that trip. Italy was amazing, but my heart is always in Paris. So we had this amazing time. There's like hundreds of pages of really great stuff in Italy. And then I spend the whole time in Paris pouring my heart, like Italy didn't even matter by the time I got to Paris. But there you go. That's from that book. Thank you all very much for being here. I want to thank Ed and Lorraine and Jennifer and Emilio and Charlie and Kathryn and Judy and Randy and Ron and Christopher and Gayle and even the naked black man who showed up. That's so great that you all could be here. We don't get enough of that. You know what I'm saying? Our next reading will be Sunday, April 6th. We'll be back to our regular time, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. I get a lot of questions of people who don't live in Eastern and Pacific about what that means. I have no idea. Look it up, people. You have to know what time it is where you are and relative to when things happen. It's 2 o'clock Pacific. If you don't know when it is relative to those times, there's websites that will tell you those kinds of things. Anyway, April 6th is that. Please consider submitting a writing prompt to us. Go to our website, poetrysuperhighway.com/PSH, and you can see what we're looking for in terms of poetry writing prompts. And there's the form of where you submit them. We're going to publish one a day next month, and hopefully encourage people to do some writing. I'm going to click on the Ask All to Unmute button in case everyone wants to say hi to each other before I let you go.
I love the readings, y'all. Thank you so very much. What amazing talent out
reading.
there. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, everybody, and loved everybody's writing. Thank you.
Me too.
Thank
And
you all.
Rick,
And thank you for the space, Rick.
Thank you, Rick.
Rick is a bomb diggity, honey.
Certainly is that.
Boom.
Rick, thank you very much for doing this.
Thank you.
You're a
Thank
gem-
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.